We've been covering a lot of the reform absolute incompetence that these reform councillors have been putting on display. And no doubt you have probably seen the most incompetent display I have ever seen from any councillor. In fact, from any political party. It tops the chart. I mean, sure, Boris Johnson did some embarrassing interviews when he was in charge. Even when hid in a fridge, and it's not quite, that peak level. But hey, this might be pretty close. This might be pretty close. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, recently, Nottinghamshire TV did an interview with one of these Nottinghamshire reform councillors. And bear in mind, this isn't just a councillor. He actually has a full cabinet position. He's actually in charge of the business growth and development, I think it is, of Nottinghamshire County Council. Kind of an important position, that has a lot of responsibilities. He's in charge of a pretty big budget. So you would think at least, maybe this guy, if he's doing an interview, should have answers to the questions he is being asked, to which he has none. He basically says, "Don't know," and laughs. And it is just a staggering level of incompetence put on display that Reform put this guy in, or told this guy, "Oh, don't worry, you can do this job. Being a councillor is easy." Because I've brought this up before many, many times. There is such a level of pure lack of knowledge of what goes on in your town hall and what councillors actually do. And yet Reform have put up these people who have no clue. No clue whatsoever. So if you've seen the video, you probably know what we're talking about. If not, I know Max did a video about it. So you can go watch that and then come back here and watch this. Because quite frankly, the response from this has been great. Because it has really just highlighted the cherry on the cake of just how purely incompetent these reform councillors are. And if they are this incompetent at this level of government, what on earth would they be like if they actually had real power? It terrifies you. It should be terrifying. The fact that they just have no clue. So, before we go into this, like I say, click on the like, click on the share button, and of course, down below, there's the Patreon page, there's the Buy Me Coffee link where you can, buy me coffee, there's the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there's the YouTube membership button as well. And of course, it was Wednesday yesterday, so please, if you are a member of the Patreon or the YouTube membership, or you want to join the membership, you can go down, watch that video. We talk about the left just a bit, and the stuff that's gone on in America with the election of the Democratic candidate over there. Kind of interesting, which sort of breaks the mold. A lot of people over here on this side of the pond say that kind of thing is just impossible. But they've just really proved that actually, no, it is possible if you're willing to put in the hard work. Anyway, if you are, go watch that video. So now on into this. So this is from Nottinghamshire Live. Reform councillors in Nottinghamshire need better answers than "we don't know," or voters will lose patience. So, politicians are, of course, never been strangers to awkward gaffes, slip-ups, or cringeworthy interviews. Especially, of course, in the age of social media, where every word of our elected representatives say is now closely analysed and scrutinised. It can be very hard to forget that, of course, that we're all human and, of course, make the odd error. Yet, in the video now of a very leading Reform UK councillor in Nottinghamshire explaining that he has, quote, no idea about key policies, there are, of course, bigger questions and issues at play than, of course, an awkward slip-up of the tongue. And this is it. That is to the point exactly. This just wasn't a bad interview. It was that this guy is a cabinet level role and he just has no idea about key policies of the council. Even things he's literally reading off a sheet. He's reading off a sheet and he has no idea the words that he is saying or what they mean. Like, the level of incompetence there is staggering. So, in the clip, of course, doing the rounds on social media, James Walker-Gurley, now a senior member, of course, at Nottingham County Council, very awkwardly reads a script and very laughs as he struggles now to answer questions about key issues in the county. Again, he can't answer any questions. That is damning. That is damning and terrifying if you live in that council. I would be calling for his resignation. I would be calling on reform to put someone in. Oh, but that's right. They don't have anyone better than that. Anyway, as of course the local democracy reporting service asked the councillor for Eastwood about his relationship with Claire Eastwood's East Midlands Combined Authority and how the mayor works on the roundabout, he admitted that he did not know or what to answer. Now, you might of course hear the council's response and think that it's a well-needed breath of fresh air. Trust me, it is not. An unlikely response, of course, from a politician. Perhaps, of course, we've become accustomed now to the party spokespeople who repeat the very same press lines to avoid the big questions. You, of course, wouldn't be alone in thinking the Reform UK's recently elected politicians, since their, quote, sweeping victory in the council local elections, and the new intake, of course, have very shied away from admitting when they don't have the answers. When, of course, the now council leader, Mick Barton, was elected into the role just later that month, reporters, of course, queued up at the announcement press call to ask him questions about what can actually be expected from the new administration and what changes they actually might make in Nottinghamshire within the next few years. All the reporters appeared to be met with very similar lines of, "We don't have the answers yet." To which I've been saying this all the time. How can you run for local office for a council and just say, so what are you going to do for your next couple of years now you're in power? Don't know. Just imagine like the fits and the pearl clutching that a paper like the Daily Mail would have if Keir Starmer had done that after the local election, after like the general election. Anyway, but it continues, of course, and yet, of course, we can only be been recently elected, of course, he said, and of course, fair enough. Why should a party who haven't been even in charge for a week have all the answers? It was, I felt, indeed a breath of fresh air, and given some weight again to the promises of, quote, common sense and the no-nonsense language made by Reform UK during their election. But as the weeks have now gone on, we have now heard similar comments from Barton and his now 40-strong group of new councillors. Similar lines about now needing to get their feet under the table were, of course, dished out again and again. It made at least a nice change. Yet, as the group now approaches 2 months in office, following now a very long election campaign, and again, highlighting that election campaign, saying constantly how much better they would be than the other parties, and now they're in power and they're saying, we don't know. We don't know. We've got no idea what the answers are. We don't know what we're going to do. The incompetence is staggering. Staggering. And it is apparently the same across all these councils where they are in control. So, following, of course, the long election campaign, and of course, they had plenty of time to get to grips with at least the fundamentals of local politics, and the "we don't have the answers yet" argument is now already at the risk of wearing very thin. Oh, it is wearing very, very thin. With the aforementioned video where Walker-Gurley, whose very brief covers economic development and asset management at the council, couldn't even answer a question about a mere repair project to a roundabout that the county feels somewhat like a boiling point. You know, you don't even know what he didn't even know what the relationship was between the council and the combined mayor, the regional mayor, and you're like, This guy ran for local office. You'd think you might have an opinion about that. You know? Anyway, the admission, of course, that the politician makes regarding now his lack of contact between himself and, of course, the East Midlands Combined Authority now only adds to the sense that the people now are going to get very fed up with the demanding and start demanding proper answers. Like all his cabinet counterparts, the Eastwood representative earns about £40,000 when including his allowance now as a ward councillor. On that salary, there is, quote, not a basic level, of course, of understanding and a brief we can expect our elected representatives to have, which, again, you would expect them to have that level of knowledge, of basic understanding, of maybe, I don't know, actually having policies that they could know of what they're going to do in advance. But again, apparently not if you're in Reform UK. It is just incompetence and just we're still waiting for the unit down in London to tell us what to do. This is why I keep on making these videos. This is why I keep on pointing out just how incompetent these people are, because next year there is again another big local council election. And I want people to look back and think, well, actually, how did they do, these reform councillors, when they got elected? Have they actually done anything good? We're 2 months in, and already the incompetence is staggering. So far, they haven't had any big. Well, they have. They've had that one councillor in particular who dubbed himself and his friends in, and then the party kicked him out for doing the right thing. But honestly, we are going to get to a point sooner or later where something bad is going to happen, and these guys are going to be in charge, and they're the ones holding the candle. There's no one else to blame. It's all on them. And that is when things will get really spicy. That is when things will get really interesting. When the shall we say aforementioned, shit hits the fan, that's when things could really start to go wrong with someone like this who has no idea about like the relationship between him and the regional authority. If he has that bad level of basic understanding about what goes in the council, what other things does he not know? That should scare you. That should scare you quite a lot. Anyway, back to this. Reform UK's, of course, main pledge throughout that local election campaign was, of course, to change the way our councils up and down the country were ran. Yet, if almost 2 months in now, senior representatives cannot answer basic questions about key projects, it might not be the change that's needed at this moment, but rather, of course, the new ideas and a proper briefing. If those at the top of the county council don't actually begin to present these new fresh ideas, or start to, at the very least, it now raises the questions and, of course, begin to debate them, let alone actually beginning to explore the solutions, the patience of everyone who lent the party their support in May will grow very thin. The argument, of course, for reform being the new group in charge will now only stretch so far and soon. People now start to expect real answers and real ideas rather than more we don't knows. The video now of Councillor Walker-Gurley is struggling now to answer the questions, may just seem like another political gaffe or awkward interview, but it may now be a turning point in which voters actually start to demand real answers. I couldn't agree more. I genuinely couldn't agree more. And I hope that is the situation. Not only just in here, but in Nottingham, in Derby, in up as well. We haven't done it yet, but we will be doing it probably tomorrow, or at least the next video, about what happened where they were questioned on their stance on net zero. And they've got no clue what they're going to do, even though, oh yeah, we're going to get rid of it. But okay, what do you mean get rid of it? Because there are some projects that already are net zero. What happens to them? Do they get funding? What happens to them? They get demolished? They couldn't answer because they just didn't know. So, yeah, please do keep sharing that video. anytime you see anyone say, oh yeah, reform is somehow good. But yes, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please do leave a comment down below. Please do remember to click on the like and share button, of course, as well. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.